Hi, I'm Shadoe Stevens, and you're about to listen to On Screen and Beyond with me, and I'm excited. I'm drumming my fingers.
On Screen and Beyond, an inside look into the entertainment world featuring interviews with people from the movie, TV, and music industry. And now, here's the host of On Screen and Beyond, Brian Zemrak.
Get ready for another edition of On Screen and Beyond. I'm your host, Brian Zemrak, and this is a show that brings you a celebrity guest each week from the movie, TV, or music industry as they take us on their journey and let us know what they're up to right now with their movies, TV shows, music, the works. This week, our guest is Shadoe Stevens, who was the host of American Top 40 and also the announcer for Hollywood Squares, The Late Late Show with Craig Ferguson, and more. And he's going to be joining us very shortly. As always, please subscribe to whatever podcast provider you get us from, in like Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Alexa, Podbeam, or on Spotify for audio. Or the video versions are available also on Spotify and on YouTube. Be sure to follow us On Screen and Beyond, of course, on Instagram and Facebook. Let's get right into it. Shadoe Stevens is next, right here on Screen and Beyond. Joining us today on Screen and Beyond, our guest was the host of American Top 40 from 1988 to 1995. His voice has been heard all over the place over the years, from Antenna TV to Metal Radio and Top of the World to The Late Late Show with Craig Ferguson, and as the announcer for Hollywood Squares. He appeared on TV in The Larry Sanders Show, Caroline in the City, Max Monroe, Loose Cannon, Dave's World, and so much more.
Baywatch.
Baywatch
was a good one.
Right.
That was fun.
It's Shadoe Stevens.
That was supposed to be Howard. They wrote it for Howard Stern, and he didn't want to do it, so they came to me, and it was basically Howard Stern in a helicopter, doing live reports from the beach. It was pretty funny.
Well, let me finish up here. It's Shadoe Stevens. Shadoe, welcome to On Screen and Beyond once again.
Hello. So good to see you. Very good.
Yeah, it's really nice to have you back, because it seems one thing I know is if I talk to Shadoe Stevens, there's always something going on. I mean, you are so creative and things just keep bubbling. I can just look at you and see it.
You can see that I have no attention span and I have an insatiable need to do things.
Yeah. Now, Shadoe, you started as a kid, and you started
I was
your
obsessed
own,
from the beginning.
Yeah, you started your own pirate radio station. I mean, isn't that illegal?
It was very illegal. Well, maybe. I mean, Jamestown, North Dakota. It was a kit that I soldered together because I was good at following directions. So I was 10 years old, and it allowed you to broadcast from your bedroom to the living room. This was magic. And so I went to the local TV repair shop and I said, how do I soup this up? And he said, well, you do this and that, and condensers, blah, blah, blah. And put up an antenna. Got to have an antenna. Oh. So at 10 years old, I crawled to the peak. I mean, our house was a 3-story house, and the top roof was about like this. I crawled to the top of it with a wire in my teeth and edged my way to the end with a hammer in my pocket and hammered in a loop and attached the wire with an insulator. And then the wire extended into the backyard, climbed a tree in the backyard, and wrapped the other end at the top of the tree. So I had a 100-foot antenna. Now, I could broadcast a mile in every direction.
Wow.
This was the big time. All of our neighbors could hear, and we'd put on an album, because I built a little studio, and it was like a phonograph and a tape recorder and a microphone much like this, except it was, like cheesy little microphone, but it was an erector set. I built this erector set that would hold it like this so that I could, get right up on the microphone, and a little switch that I could switch on and off. So now I could broadcast. I could play a song from the tape recorder. Then I could play one from the phonograph and go back and forth. And I got really good at this because it was so exciting. And I'm playing Little Richard and Chuck Berry and all the black music I love. Clarence Frogman Henry, stuff like that. I love this music. And it became a nightly thing that I did it every day. And then they discovered me at one of the two local stations when I was walking down the street, and the man on the street said, "Hey, who are you? Well, what are you interested in?" "Oh, art and radio." And, "Oh, radio, really?" And I ended up telling him about my little radio station. He said, "You should come down and see us. We should put you on the air." So I went down to see them, and where's that picture? They put an ad in the paper, "World's Youngest Disc Jockey." I'll show it to you. My birth name, Terry.
Oh,
there
yeah.
I am, World's Youngest Disc Jockey, KEYJ.
Now, wait a minute. Okay, you're playing music because you like music, but was there a disc jockey that inspired you to do this?
Not at the time. As I grew older, there were people like I listened to WLS in Chicago and Dick Biondi, and then I discovered a guy named Chuck Dan that I absolutely loved, and if he were still alive, I'd still love him. He had this big booming voice, and he was really clever. He ended up being in Los Angeles doing a lot of voiceovers for years, and I got to hire him as an adult. I had gone when I was going to the University of North Dakota. I listened to him on CKY, Canada's Friendly Giant, and it was the big time. And they were putting on a concert with the Zombies, and I loved the Zombies. So a friend of mine and I went up to Winnipeg to meet Chuck Dan. A big bunch of fun, and he weighed about a ton. He's a real swinging man, and his name is Chuck Dan. What a man, Chuck Dan. It's like this guy was like God to me. And this kind of rotund, short little guy comes out with this big, beautiful voice and treated us like kings. And he invited us to the concert. We had backstage passes, and it was spectacular. So yeah, I was influenced by some really interesting and talented people.
So what made you, or was it just an evolution that you went into, doing commercials and then getting on TV and getting, all the different things you've done?
Well, that all came later. I put myself through 5 years of college with the University of North Dakota and the University of Arizona, always moving up in radio. I was worked in radio to pay for college, and got a better job. So I was from Grand Forks, and then I got a job in my third year of college in Fargo, and I would drive from Grand Forks to Fargo, 110 miles each way, every day, to work from 7 until midnight, drive back home, go to school in the morning, do the same thing every day. And then I got this job in Arizona, and I moved to the University of Arizona and worked at a bigger, more exciting radio station. And as I was there for 2 years, I started doing some television and some commercials locally. And then I got this job in Boston. I was trying to get to California. I always wanted to be in California my whole life. I love it here. Always did. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't get here. Nobody would hire me. So I get this job in Boston, and Boston was cold. It was like North Dakota. It's like, damn. And so I couldn't wait to get out of the cold. And 1 year later, I was doing really successful in Boston. It was a huge radio station. 33% of everyone listening to radio listened to WRKO.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like a #1 disc jockey. And I started doing television. I was the sidekick to a really famous television personality. And then they gave me my own music show called Gazebo. Anyway, this guy, the producer, Rick Rosner, put me on television. And then I got moved to Los Angeles. I got this job and moved out of Boston within a day. Like in a week, actually. They called me one day. I flew to Los Angeles, met with them on Tuesday, flew back to Boston on Wednesday, packed up on Thursday, put the car and everything in my apartment into a truck, got on a plane, and by Friday afternoon, I was working in Los Angeles. It was that fast. It was crazy.
Wow.
And in Los Angeles, the same guy, and I went to work for KHJ, the same guy that put me on the air in Boston was now producing the Steve Allen Show in Los Angeles, national syndicated show, one of the most brilliant men in the history of entertainment. And I'm his sidekick. Whoa. So I was on television nationwide. And then they were supposed to promote me at KHJ when the next opening happened. And when it opened, they didn't hire me. And I said, why? And they said, well, we don't know if you'd rather be on television or on radio. And, so I said, are you insane? Television promotes radio and radio promotes television. It's like a win-win. And, well,
right.
Yeah, I said, well, look, put it in my contract that, you don't have to give me a raise. Just say that I will absolutely get the next promotion for a bigger, better shift. And they said we couldn't do that. So I said, well, I'm going to have to leave because I can't lead my life on your whims, and I'll just take my chances. And 3 days later, I was hired by their biggest competitor, KRLA. And then at KRLA, I was there for a couple of months. And why are we playing the same music as KHJ? We should be playing the music that people my age, like I'm 24 years old. So I did all the research from Billboard, and they said, and I took in the research to the general manager. I said, we should be playing better music, like this. And he was so impressed that he fired the program director and made me program director. Now, I'm the program director at 24 years old of one of the biggest stations in the country. And I had to figure it out. And I did. And one of the things I did was write 50 jingles and produce them. They gave me the money. I hired people like B. Mitchell Reed, who is a legend in New York and Los Angeles, and brother John Radgren, who did, he was very big and loved radio on ABC and Silhouette. And a team of really talented people, and did the radio theater to sign the thing on the air, and it was pretty funny. And then did really creative contests. You want to hear one? My favorite. This is my favorite. This is as funny as a contest ever got on radio.
Go ahead.
KHJ, our competitor, my former station, Jesus Christ Superstar came out. And so they did the Jesus Christ Superstar contest. I thought, that's almost blasphemous. It's like, how dare you? So what we did was the Great KRLA Soup or Star Contest. 7 stars are floating in 7 kinds of soup. You have to name the star and the kind of soup they're floating in to win $10,000 in cold, hard cash. And every hour there was the call queue was a bunch of people going, money, 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 ding. And people would call, okay, and they would go on the air, and while they're guessing, it would be the music was Hosanna Superstar, Hosanna Hosanna Superstar. Johnny Carson, bean and bacon. I'm sorry, that is not it. Bean and bacon is not the kind of soup, but thank you. You get a can of a split pea, and $100 in cash. And so we did this, and we had rhyming clues on the air all the time. They were quite funny. And then it was the winner would win $10,000 and a can of your choice. Name it. Beef and barley.
Jeez.
It was so funny. It was just, and we had ratings through the roof. We beat KHJ for the first time in years. And then his fate would happen.
Hi, I'm James Pickens Jr., and I'm a guest On Screen and Beyond.
The management decided that they knew what was best. And they started imposing things for me to have to do to keep it going. And I knew they wouldn't work. And I'd be blamed. And then I'd fail, and that'd be the end of my career. So I handed in my resignation. And my resignation was a piece of art. There was a pen and ink sketch of this guy with multiple bags under his eyes and wings flying out of the abyss, saying, "Quit, my child. There's no hope." And I left that on his desk with a little note saying, "I can't do this anymore. I just like to be a personality on the air again." And so they got a new program director, and I went back to Art Center School at night, and I was happy. So then the new program director calls me in one day, and he says, "I'm going to have to let you go." I said, "That's funny. It's great." He said, "I'm serious." And I said, "Why?" And he said, "You're always smiling. I know you're cynical about what I'm doing, and I can't have that around." I said, "Are you insane? What drug are you on? What? I'm the only one happy around here. I'm going to Art Center School. I don't have the weight that you're carrying right now." And I talked to him for 2 hours, and at the end he says, "Well, I'm going to have to go through with it anyway." So then I go into the accountant, and the accountant glares at me, and he said, "I hope you go out and spend this money in the next 2 weeks, and then you don't know where your next penny's coming from, and maybe you'll come to the meaning of life." "What's the meaning of life, Don?" He said, "Management is God." I said, "Oh, man." He said, "It's true." And he glares at me, and he takes his finger and he pounds it on the desk. "They put the food in your mouth and the roof over your head. Management thump is thump God thump." He said, "I feel sorry for you." And I took my check and I left. And I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. And 3 weeks later, they hired me back. I don't know why. I don't know what. So then along comes K-Rock. And now KRLA was in studios that were state-of-the-art with engineers, big-time money, big time in the Huntington Sheridan Hotel. Really beautiful. K-Rock was funky. It was like 1950s studios and in a dirty part of Burbank. And I go over there and talk to him, and he said, "We'd like you to come and do something original like you did at KRLA. You know, we're going to get this FM station soon, and we'd like to have you do it." He said, "What kind of car do you want?" "Porsche." He goes, "Got it. What color?" "We'll get you a new one." Okay. So I sold my soul for a Porsche and hope. And sure enough, now I no longer get there, and there's a hostile overthrow of the company. And the guy that put it together, I think it was 17 investors, the ones with the most money overthrew the other ones because he'd misspent money wildly, and fired everyone, me and a guy named Jimmy Rabbit, and took and put bolts on the door, on the management door, so that the guy who put together the whole station in the first place, couldn't get in. I called him and he said, "Don't worry about it. We'll take care of it." So Jimmy and I got together and drank and like waiting through each day. And then there's an overthrow of the overthrow. Can't make this stuff up.
Wow.
He fires everyone. He fired the news staff. Everybody was part of the coup. The sales staff, the management, everybody. There was a handful of people left, and he said, "You're going to have to make this thing work." So I start putting it together. Now, in a very short period of time, suddenly the FCC gives them the FM license. And it was to take over KPPC in Pasadena, big FM station. And he said, promote it, make it work, come up with the format. So it was, I designed the format, and the format was all up, all rock, all cutting edge, all new music all the time. And we signed on the air with Queen. Nobody had ever heard of Queen. At KRLA, I played David Bowie, the first person in America to play David Bowie, because I had a friend in London who let me know that this is the hottest guy in London, so you got to play this. He sent it to me, and we started playing Changes, and life changed. It was amazing. And then we discovered Space Oddity and played all of that. So we go to K-Rock, and that all comes along with it. And K-Rock took off like a rocket. It was amazing. And it was full of imagination and radio theater. Again, I did a whole radio theater thing called Alice's Adventures in the Underground. And it was using all the personalities and an Alice in Wonderland story about going into the underground. And it's pretty funny. And it launched this whole odyssey of what K-Rock was to become, which was one of the most influential radio stations in history. Yeah. K-Rock didn't pay us, so I quit, and the whole staff quit and went off the air for 2 years. I went to KMET, did the same thing. It became number one, stayed a year. Management tried to make me do things. I quit, and I started my production company. With my production company, I built it up and did lots of commercials and did all of the Blues Brothers campaign and Fast Times at Ridgemont High and 48 Hours. And then I created a television campaign called Federated that became legendary on the West Coast. 1,100 commercials in 6 years. Wow. And on the heat of all of that, I got Hollywood Squares, which again was Rick Rosner, who was the guy from the beginning. And then it was AT40.
Hi, I'm Mark Farner on Screen and Beyond.
Okay, after all that, when you actually got to get on to American Top 40, was it daunting taking over the shoes of Casey Kasem?
AT40 was daunting because I could not do the most earnest man in the history of radio. I have always done things that were funny or tongue-in-cheek or parody or satire. And all the radio stations were that way. They had radio theater and humor. And I'm stepping into the shoes of keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars. And so I said, remember, kids, the world is your oyster. And if you can't find your pearl, you can always have lunch. Bye-bye out there. So I had to put in some wit. The first show took 18 hours to create because I couldn't do any of their text. So yeah, it was a rough beginning, but then it grew into 1 billion people a week in 110 countries, and they flew me all over the world to promote it. And it was a great job, and it was a great time. And then that, after Hollywood Squares became one of the top shows in television in the late 80s, led to doing television shows. I had a series that I helped create called Max Monroe. Didn't last long, but it turned into Dave's World about a year later. And that was a hit sitcom, like a top 10 show for about 4 years. And so it was like a lot of different stuff.
Yeah. What was Craig Ferguson like working with him?
Craig Ferguson is brilliant. He's just a brilliant man. He has the gift of spontaneous eloquence. And just in person, we had meetings for 10 years every week. And just in conversation, he would say things where you go, God, I'll write that down. That was brilliant. It's like, I have to think things through, and write them down. And I can become somewhat eloquent in my writing. But off the top of my head, this guy is in another level. He's really talented. And he was always a great guy with me. I liked him. And he bought a castle in Scotland and had a big birthday party there. And a lot of us flew over for it just a couple of years ago. And it was great fun. Interesting guy.
Yeah.
He lives back in Maine now, I think, but still doing television.
Oh, really?
And stand-up.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, really good guy.
Loose cannon. I was disappointed that didn't continue. I enjoyed the show.
Oh, thank you.
I thought it was unique and different.
The guy who created it, wrote it, and produced it is one of the biggest producers and writers in television history. His name is Dean Hargrove. He's still alive. He's like 85 or 6, something like that now. And he believes that if it had been given a chance, it would have been on for years. He did Jake and the Fat Man, and the list of shows that he either wrote or produced, including writing almost all of The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Love that too.
A storied career, just a remarkable man, really, really talented. And what he wrote for us was a lot of fun. I was really proud of it. And I thought that it could have gone on for a long time as well. Mm-hmm. But such was not my fate.
Yeah,
I had other things to do.
Yeah. What are you up to now?
Okay, so the beginning of COVID, I started Mental Radio. At the beginning of COVID was March 1st, 2020, and the world was coming to an end. And you remember, everybody remembers, it was terrifying. Except I didn't feel terrified. And I thought, I've got to write something funny and uplifting to give people a sense of living in possibilities, of having some hope. And so I started writing this audio theater. It's something I've been doing since I was a child. Before the radio station, I was recording stories on my dad's tape recorder. And so I started writing this and doing all the voices. Then I started getting contributors. A guy that worked for me from Federated became a big film composer, and he gave me his whole library of film music that the movies never came out. And now I had cinematic music, so I could really make these stories really like watching a movie in your head. And I did it all right here in this little studio, but I can do anything I can think of in this little studio, including video, including artwork and everything else. So I started doing it. Then people wanted to, the voice actors that I know wanted to contribute, and they became part of the stories that I would write. And people contributed story ideas and things, and that grew. And now it's been 26 half-hour episodes. Every half hour takes weeks or months to write and create. But now there are 12 hours of stories. And that's story and satire and parody and music. Mm-hmm. So 3 years ago, after COVID, my my longtime friend, who is the president of the Montalban Theater in Hollywood, called me and he said, one of the things that got me through COVID, now he had been married to Ricardo Montalban's daughter for over 30 years, and she died of cancer just before COVID. So he said, I'm sitting alone in my house in COVID, and one of the things that got me through was listening to Mental Radio and laughing and feeling optimistic. What do you think about doing it as live theater? I thought that was the greatest idea I ever heard in my life. I said, what do you think? How could we do it? And he goes, yeah, I'm thinking giant video screens and 360-degree surround sound and make it an immersive experience. I said, I'm in, let's do it. And so all of last year, I wrote and produced 18 songs. The last one I just finished a week ago, and it's my best piece ever. It's a gospel piece. It's spectacular. And I just finished the screenplay or the theater play. I'll give you the log line because I just gave this to a guy to take back to New York to present to some pretty impressive people. And it says, when the lockdown leaves an optimistic writer isolated and unraveling, his imagination explodes into an immersive musical fever dream. Junkyard prophets and action heroes, talking anxieties and gospel joy, teaching him that happiness isn't found, it's chosen. A high-energy, immersive comedy musical where the audience becomes part of the story. Street dancing into the theater, live band, surround sound, video integration of the crowd, sketch, song, and story blurring reality and imagination. It's surreal. It's Monty Python's absurdity, theatrical spectacle, Viktor Frankl heart and second line celebration. It's pretty cool.
And you know something, when I looked at your stuff, what you have, the mental radio stuff, the first thing when I saw the designs of the stuff, Monty Python came to my memory, and also Peter Max, the Beatles, like Yellow Submarine type.
Oh,
thing.
yeah. Thank you. I've been copying those guys for years, Just like Salvador Dali says, copy the masters, and then when you can do what they do what you think you should do.
I figured they inspired you.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, here, an arm's length away.
Yep.
Monty Python.
Yeah.
The greatest book ever. And it's got pop-up things and envelopes and surprises inside. It's an extraordinary piece. Yeah. And I emulate, the masters. Yeah. And I think mental radio has been. I've had about 1 million downloads, and it's been reviewed as audio acid and spiritual crack. Right. Okay, I love that. Yeah, it's pretty. It's funny, and it doesn't, but it isn't funny like cartoon funny. It's like we're serious. It's got a whole mythology behind it. It's built that goes back to Nikola Tesla. It has a lot of deep kind of ideas, including stopping in the middle of each episode to talk about, because every episode is about angst or the blues or joy or time, space, dreams. Everything has every episode has a theme, and within the theme we talk about, so what is joy? What actually is it? So we talk about that in real terms and how to find it and what are the steps you take? What are the actions? Because you can't think your way happy. You have to take action, and happiness is a byproduct of action. So one of the tools of that is meditation. And for people that have never understood meditation or roll their eyes, say, well, let us just give you a 90-second introduction. And then we'll play this piece of 90 seconds of music that also includes Tibetan bells and gongs and chimes and monks chanting Om, and it calms the mind. And as you listen to it, you get a quiet space. But the purpose of real meditation is to go beyond calm. It's to go to a transcendental awareness, which is an experience. It's not intellectual. It is an experience of pure awareness, and the deeper you go, the deeper there is to merge into. And that alone is the revelation or the validation of any spiritual beliefs you might have. Pick one. It doesn't matter. When you get into the transcendental state and get into that place where it's called the no-mind state, where your mind stops chattering and you might stop breathing for periods of time, and your body might feel out like this, and you are immersed in pure awareness, which is the spirit, the I am, the witness, whatever it is that you want to call that spark of divinity that's within you. That's where you experience it. And then you go, oh, I need this. and I want to align with the creator as much as I can.
Well, Shadoe,
So that's it.
I hate to cut you off, but we're going to run
It's
out.
that time again, isn't it? Well,
Yeah.
it's time to wrap things up, ladies and gentlemen.
But I want one quick question here before we sign off. And
Yeah.
but when you sit back and relax, what do you enjoy watching on TV, and what do you enjoy watching in the movies? What are your favorite movies now and of the past, and what's your favorite TV shows?
Oh, I loved One Battle After Another. I loved Marty Supreme. I think he's the new Scorsese. Josh, what's his name? Josh. His last name just all of a sudden decided. Safdie. Josh Safdie is amazing. Those are my two favorites recently. On television, I've liked a lot of things. I love The Gentleman as a series, which is Guy Ritchie.
Yep.
And it's spectacular. You know, I have to see a list because I get, it's my one thing. I love movies, and I go to movies in theaters a lot, more than all of my friends, and try to see, I've seen almost all of the Academy Award nominees, and have my favorites, and I'm rooting for them. You know, I love movies. And television series, you know, when they're good, you know, you can't stop.
Yeah. Well, Shadoe,
What do you like?
me right now, I'm watching All for All Mankind. Have you seen that one yet?
No.
It's a good show. It's a little different. You know, it's an
Is it
alternative
a documentary?
No, it's a space alternative movie, a show rather, about you know, if the Russians had gotten to the moon before we did.
Oh, really?
And then it just the history just continues, but it mixes real history and everything in with it. It's a TV show on Apple Plus, Apple TV, you know, Apple TV.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Yeah, but
Great. And with that, I'll bid you adieu.
well, thank you. I cannot thank you enough, Shadoe. Thanks a lot.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
There he is, a great guy. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Shadoe Stevens. He is always fun to talk to, and he always has something going on. The guy is just continually doing things, and we like to keep you updated on what he's doing. Please help get the word out about On Screen and Beyond. Be sure to tell a friend about the show and check out the over 750 past celebrity guests for you to enjoy. And also share our posts on the socials and to help get the word out to your friends and everybody else about On Screen and Beyond. Thank you for watching or listening. That's a wrap for this episode of On Screen and Beyond. So until next time, when we once again take you on screen and beyond, I'm Brian Zemrak. Take care.